right, so we're going to begin. All righty, welcome. Hi, I'm Melissa Goodstein, and I'm the host of Collaborative Chats for the New York Association of Collaborative Professionals. I'm currently serving as the president of NYACP, and today I am absolutely thrilled to speak with Kenneth J. Novenstern, who is the immediate past president of NYCP and current board member, although your board term is ending soon, right? Ending in December, Ken?
Yes, I'm only the immediate past president and a board member for the next 37 days or
Oh my
35
God.
days.
Wow, wow. And what service you've given to the organization. So we're sorry to see you
Thank
go,
you.
but your legacy remains, and we are so grateful for your service. So Ken is a collaborative attorney practicing in Westchester, but also New York County. I think you practice all over the metro area. Did I get that right?
Yes, I have a case up in Hudson, New York right now, and I think two in Suffolk County.
Right. And in
Um,
Texas too. Don't you have a collaboration in Texas going down?
I have a collaboration in Texas that
Wow.
is in startup, and
Wow.
so that's exciting.
That is
And
great.
Randy Heller may be involved, so
Oh, that's
we
great.
we will see. Yeah, so get
Okay.
everyone on board.
That's amazing. That's really amazing, Ken. So can you tell me a little bit about your family? Where did you grow up?
Sure. You obviously didn't see the Facebook post from Saturday at Anthony's Nose overlooking the Bear Mountain Bridge.
You grew up there?
Um, so no, the it was the 100th anniversary of the Bear Mountain Bridge, and they had a parade.
Oh my God.
And I posted saying that I wonder if my grandmother and great aunts and uncles who lived on the other side of the bridge in Highland Falls in the early 1900s were at the bridge when they had the grand opening ceremonies 100 years ago. And
Wow. Wow.
my great aunts and uncles were people that I would see occasionally while I was growing up. And I lived in New City in Rockland County, also on the other side of the river from Westchester. Didn't really know that Westchester existed except when we would drive over to White Plains to go to B. Altman's and Saks,
Oh, wow.
and that crazy Art Deco exterior. I think it was B. Altman's,
Yes. Yes.
and
Yeah.
we would
Wow.
drop my father off at the Tarrytown train station in the 1960s.
Wow.
And
Wow.
the Bear Mountain Bridge was finished in 1924. The Tappan Zee Bridge was finished right around 1955.
Oh,
And
wow.
my father had to drive over the Bear Mountain Bridge from Haverstraw to date my mother in Tarrytown
Oh my God. Wow.
because there was no Tappan Zee Bridge. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. What history.
yeah.
Wow. That's really thanks for sharing that. I can't believe it's so that must have been so you just brought up a point. You go hiking a lot. That's a big pastime of yours, Ken?
Yes, to help deal with the stress of what we do.
That's
I feel the need, very comfortable out in the woods, in the outdoors. And my hiking group, we go out hopefully every Saturday throughout the year and just don't like to hike in rain. And so, very fortunate to have a decent, large enough group of like minded people that we get out and really enjoy the incredible Hudson Valley.
beautiful.
And we're so
Beautiful.
fortunate.
We really are. That's great that you're able to make the time and the space for that and to have the
Yes.
community in which to kind of enjoy that because the work we do is really tough. And
Right.
I'm wondering how did you get involved in the law first? And then how did you get into collaborative divorce? Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. When I was young, and my father would go up to Highland Falls to see my great uncle Abe and my great uncle Will, who were attorneys. I actually have some paperwork from a colleague showing that they had a law office in Peekskill, I think on Main Street as of 1929.
Oh my God.
And so I just was fascinated. The fact that my father would go to these men and seek their advice, and they seemed to be doing decent financially.
Yeah.
So when I was, an adolescent, I pretty much decided that I wanted to be a lawyer and started law college and law school
Wow. That's
and
amazing.
started practicing up in Syracuse, New York.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's
uh,
amazing. So, just to have that early, experience of getting advice and being able to deliver that advice and trusted and to wanting to go into a profession that
yeah,
that's the service that you're offering is pretty amazing. That's
yeah,
great. That's a great, thanks for sharing that. You have so much
yes.
history. I love all your history. Are you thinking about writing a book or something?
No, no. I mean, maybe one day. I
You,
love reading it, and
I love it. The attention
yeah,
to detail and everything. You should write this down. It's so fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I'm reading a book. Remember the movie with Dustin Hoffman, Little Big Man?
yes, yes.
This I picked up a 50th anniversary edition, reading it for the first time, but
Wow.
just fascinating, and reading about the Cheyenne Indians that he was part of, and they call themselves the human beings.
Mm,
And I think that's great, a
yeah,
great way of looking at people. But in terms of collaborative,
yeah.
I actually took my training, I think about the same time as you, maybe a year or so before in 2004.
Mm,
And then we met, I think, a year later in 2005 at a training in the city.
that's right.
And
Right.
so I remember going to the early trainings and sitting in a room with other litigators and hearing them say, I don't need to do all of this. I can tell you how a case is going to settle in the first 15 minutes of my meeting with a new client. And I just thought that was so arrogant.
Yeah,
And so, but, the collaborative opened a door. And I think it gave a name and a structure to what many of us had been doing already. But most importantly, it gave us this group,
that's right.
and just being part of this organization through my divorce in 2010, 11, 12, and having all of you to lean on, and the emotional support I got through the organization. And
That's nice.
it's not just about being a lawyer and you know doing collaborative cases and getting referrals and referring. It's been much more for me.
It's amazing. And I know, and it must have informed your work too, to have to go through the process and practicing in the area. I'm sure it's
Yeah,
informed your work since in how you approach your clients.
yeah, most definitely. I mean, I actually did a collaborative divorce. I have to open the window here because it's getting near
You're
80.
in space though. You don't want to fly out. I
I
don't
will
know.
be careful. I have my spacesuit on. uh,
You're needed. You're very valuable. We don't want to lose you.
yes. But we actually did a collaborative divorce with Mary Kelly and Kathleen Donnelly, and
Yeah.
I probably participated far too much. I'm probably one of those crazy clients,
Mhm.
and not that clients are crazy, but I was
Yeah,
certainly
you were
struggling through the
engaged.
process.
Right, right.
And
Listen,
uh,
yeah, it is, but hopefully it was a supportive one for you and to have colleagues just to help get you through it too. On the other level, just reaching out to them, not only personally, not only professionally, but personally. That's really
certainly,
impactful that you were able to get that support.
sure. And the other part of it was that, and judges will say this, that they're strangers. They don't know people that come before them. And it's better if you can work out your own settlement, because if the judges have to do it, they're going to do the best they can,
Right.
but they can't do it as well as you can do it for yourself.
Wow. And you lived it, right? So
Yeah,
you experienced that. So you really, by experiencing that, you know, you really, you really feel that you own it. And that must be really important when you're now guiding clients in the collaborative process or in any process. on how to reach the best possible outcome and to reach an agreement.
Sure, sure. And, you can never really understand what people are going through. I think everyone's experience is different.
Yeah,
But it, having gone through a divorce, I think, have a little bit of a better sense of what people really do go through and how hard it really is.
for sure.
Yeah.
So in terms of, your relationships, is there like a best relationship in your life right now that you lean into or that you value and why?
Well, I think, first of all, I would have to say my wife, and knowing that when I go home, you're going to be in that safe place.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm also very fortunate with my hiking friends. And, these are people who, some of which are attorneys, some of whom are attorneys, and but many of whom are retired
Mm,
and a few years older than me. So I
mm,
benefit from their perspective and wisdom. And
mm.
so I'm very fortunate to have that group
That's great.
of people that I can talk to on a hike for a few hours on a Saturday morning.
That's
And, and we talk and exchange our thoughts and concerns and enjoyment of life. And
wow.
so it's great to have both my wife and
Yeah,
these friends that I can, discuss
that's
issues
amazing.
with. Yeah,
That's great. That's really great. Having like a sounding board and just to kind of bounce off ideas and
most
guide
definitely.
mentorship. That's amazing. And the
Yeah.
work that we do is kind of hard, right? And you do the hiking to let off steam. Is there anything else that you enjoy? Like if you had your perfect day off, Ken, what would that look like?
It's a great question. I think I would enjoy doing more traveling.
Oh,
Right now, working, as many of us do,
right.
it really does constrain what you can do in terms of traveling.
Mm,
And a perfect day off, I
mm.
mean, would certainly include my wife, would certainly include my hiking buddy, Walter, my
Walter's a
poodle,
dog. Walter's a dog, right?
my
Yeah.
mini poodle,
Yes.
and who's very loyal and loves the
Yeah.
hiking, although he's limping last night.
Oh, really?
I think
Why was
we did
that?
a hike yesterday, the hike up Anthony's Nose,
Oh,
up
wow.
to Anthony's Nose, not
Right.
in Anthony's Nose. So I think it was knocked him for a loop, but
Wow.
he loves the hiking, and yeah, just getting out there and getting in the fresh air. And um, in terms of the perfect day, it would end with a nice fish dinner of some sort,
Oh, okay.
and
Dinner.
then a dessert of the three-color marzipan cookies, which are a favorite.
Oh, you like
Uh,
the rainbow cookies.
the
Oh, good
rainbow
to know.
cookies and the
Mental
be-
note. Okay, good to know. Good to
the
know.
bakery in Bedford, right by the Chicos. I've
Yes,
been
I know
going
that.
to for probably the past 25 plus years.
Oh, okay.
Actually stopped there on Saturday after a hike and picked up just a few.
Right.
And
Okay.
so yeah, that's a real treat, as Neil Kozak remembers.
Okay, good to know. I try to remember people's favorite stuff, and I like to bake and cook, so good to know. Do you cook? How is that fish dinner? Is that something that do you cook it, or is it cooked for you, or do you go out for it? What would be? Do you have a signature dish? Is what I'm getting at, Ken. Is there
Oh,
something that you like to cook?
that's a great thought. Do I cook? I do cook, more out of necessity than joy. But I do remember my mother having that book, Joy of Cooking by Julia Child.
Uh,
And
yeah.
but when I was in college, I actually would cook chicken marsala.
Oh,
But
that's
my
very
roommate
sophisticated.
my roommates really didn't want to spend the money on the boneless chicken, so I would get pork chops. That would be like pork marsala, which I didn't think was really in the cookbook. But that was my signature dish. I don't know that I have one at this time, but I can certainly
Okay,
barbecue or put a piece of fish into the
okay,
in a, in a casserole dish and put it in the oven and cook.
okay. I like
But
that pork masala. Maybe you'll share that recipe. That's a very unique riff on chicken marsala. So dig that up. We're doing a cookbook maybe for our 25th anniversary gala event. Would you be open to sharing one of that recipe or another one?
I'm happy to share. I don't know that it will be something that people would aspire to make, but I'm happy to participate.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I see that. But did you make that dish? Did you actually made it?
When it was my turn to cook in college, yes, I would make. I mean, I probably made chicken marsala initially,
Okay.
but then could not find boneless chicken at the Wawa in West Philadelphia or whatever it was.
Love that. All right. And have you tried it since? Not to like belabor the point, but
I
you haven't done it? Because when did you graduate college? Wasn't it like how many years
80,
ago?
yeah, 1981.
Okay, so it's been a few
So
years.
it's been a few years. I mean, I have cooked chicken marsala since then,
Okay, so maybe share
but
that
not
recipe.
recently.
Okay.
Yes.
All righty. I love that. But all right, very good. So, and going back to collaborative, is there either a memorable NYCP experience or a memorable collaborative experience that comes to mind um, that you were willing to share?
Sure. I mean, one memorable experience was coming back on the train, probably in 2005, and you and I sat and talked, and
Yeah,
that
I
was the
remember
first
that.
time I think I ever talked to you.
Yeah.
And another memorable experience was, I think, our first case together
Oh my God, I remember that.
and dealing with one of the parties who suffered some serious mental health issues, and both of us doing the best we could to work through that and to
I
get
know.
the parties to a conclusion. So that was challenging. And then I don't know, I think all of my memories are with you, Melissa. That case that we had at my office in Mount Kisco, where 2 minutes into the meeting, the parties started screaming at each
Oh
other
my God, yes.
and nonstop. And you and I
Oh
were
yeah.
just dumbfounded looking at each other.
I know, but it was nice to have that safety and that comfort to know like we'll be okay and we're like good anchors. And it was,
Yes, for sure, for sure.
yeah,
And
certainly
then there have
good.
been other cases where, things maybe didn't go exactly as they should, but we got to conclusions. And I remember Mary Pryor's office with many cases, and we have to reach out to Mary and do something with her. Um, and one case, very poignant. I remember my client, lovely woman, and during the process, she was struggling with cancer,
Mm,
and she ended up having multiple bouts with cancer and eventually passed away about 5 years ago. Um, but
mm,
Arnold Kribari was on the other side of that case. I'm sure he remembers it well.
yeah,
And so, yeah, so I mean, it's, part of what we do is we accompany people on the journey through life at a particularly difficult time.
for
So
sure.
there are those situations where you really remember what happened and the impact that you had and the impact that the client had on you.
Right.
And so that case in particular, I
Mm,
really remember that woman and how graceful she was
mm,
in dealing with cancer and in, her concern about her daughters and what life would be like for them if she did pass away.
wow.
And so, yeah,
That's intense. What a powerful memory and what a powerful service you were able to provide for that family,
yes.
to get that closure. So every year, Ken, since about 2005 or so, since you've been a member of NYCP, you hit that renew button. Why do you renew every year?
Um, I renew every year to be part of a wonderful group of people, to have the opportunity to work and train with all of you. And the training translates. It's not just for collaborative divorce or mediation review council. It's life training. It's um, I've said this to you many times. I use collaborative techniques in my litigation,
Yeah, for sure.
and most cases end up settling.
Mm,
And there have been so many times at the courthouse where we push to get the attorneys and the parties together in a conference room and work toward a settlement of their case.
mm,
And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, once you get the people in the room together and can communicate and focus, it really opens the door to agreements and coming to a conclusion.
for sure.
So all of those things.
That's amazing. Yeah, the skills are very transferable, both to other areas of practice and to life itself. I use my collaborative skills daily on a personal level with dealing with family and other situations. So thanks for
Right.
sharing that, Ken.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I always like to end with a hope question, like where do you hope you to be in 10 years? And where do you hope for collaborative?
So where do I hope to be? I hope that I do not fall into the trap of practicing law until I die. I would like to stop practicing when I can still physically enjoy travel and other aspects of life. In terms of collaborative, we've all worked so hard. I mean, I remember with our pod group early on, the Northern Westchester pod, where we tried to put on a public event at the Somers Library in Reese Park.
Mhm.
And we all showed up and we were all so eager and we wanted to educate people on collaborative divorce. And it was snowing a little bit. So no member of the public showed up. It was just us. And I remember Margaret Nicholson was there and a few
Yeah.
other people. And we ended up going to dinner together
Oh, well, that's nice.
at that restaurant on the corner of Route 100 and 139. I don't know what it's called today.
Oh, okay.
And so, I hope for collaborative divorce that more people learn about it, utilize the process, and that we get better and better at helping people through that process.
Well, that is an awesome hope, both personally and professionally, and I hope it comes to pass in that way. And you get to travel, and collaborative is the preferred way of getting a divorce in 10 years' time, for
I
sure.
agree.
I think it's a valuable service and support that
Sure.
we can offer to help couples, to help families get through an extraordinarily difficult time, and
Right.
to really support those relationships that they want to support, that resonate with their values.
I agree. I agree. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
hope that you're on a beach somewhere in Italy,
Yeah, so do I.
relaxing
I
and
a
post
lot of it.
presidency.
Yes, that's right. Kicking up, taking off my shoes and just relaxing. Yes, that's
Exactly.
balance is so important in taking care of yourself because you're no good without yourself, your best self.
Right.
So
Right.
I so appreciated getting to know you as much as I know you can. I've learned some new things, especially that pork masala. I can't get that out of my mind. I don't know why that is. I just think that's so interesting because I'm a cook and I never thought of that as an application. So
Hey, hey,
I really appreciated that because
yes,
boneless
necessity
chicken
is the
breast is,
mother.
yeah, it's expensive, right? So it's like for a college student, I get it. It is expensive. I understand your roommate's issues.
Yes,
So, but you were creative and you came up with another solution. You were already collaborative, even as a young college student, to really kind of offer a solution. And that's amazing, amazing.
thank you.
So how do we find you, Ken? Where do you have like a website? You know, you're part of a bigger
Um,
firm. How do people
sure,
connect with
sure.
you?
I'm a partner in Fredman Bacon and Novenstern LLP, and Mount Kisco and White Plains. I'm sitting here in
Okay.
Mount Kisco today like a hermit, all by
In,
myself
in space.
in space, and overlooking the nursery behind me. We're hearing the little children out there.
Well, that's nice.
And
Okay.
yeah, it is a nice feature,
Okay.
except for that one child that seems to keep crying and crying. I just want to go
All
down
right.
there.
All right.
But
Well,
thank you so much, Melissa, and
okay. Yes.
pleasure having the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ken. Take